Hey everyone, it is December 31st. This is Dan Charles with Light Forex. I'm going to do a breakdown of the major Forex pairs, starting with the Australian USD. Okay, so the last time I looked at this, it looked like it was hitting some resistance around 7,000, 0.7,000. So I was thinking this would pull back the next day, but I drew in the center line as a key support price because this is a large rangy candle. Obviously you can see it just kept going up and up and up. This is going to pull back very, very soon, and I'm guessing, not really guessing, but when you look at the Australian futures, it really tells me that this is the sign of a top. Could be a temporary top, but this looks like it wants to pull back. Now I know I said that last day for the 27th. It did keep going, and that happens sometimes. But just from my experience, this is a setup where price is going to more often than not, 85% chance this is going to be pulling back the next trading day. Euro USD, I talked about this big range, and I thought this might come back a little bit. I was bullish, but I thought this might pull back a little bit. It pulled back slightly, and it held this support. So I had this support drawn in, this 1.1171. You can just see the resistance, hit resistance, try to pull up again, hits resistance, drops. Here we are, mid-December, hitting that resistance again, pulling back, and then we finally close above that resistance on December 27th, the day I did the analysis, and the next day it came down and hit 1171. So it hit that support. What was resistance becomes support, and then we bounced higher. The euro, the high today, 12.39. So look for resistance off of 12.40. Let's take a look at the euro futures. Yeah, so euro futures looks a little bit different than the euro USD. This is looking very, very bearish, like this wants to come back. And you'll see signs of that. This is kind of a similar looking candle. We're going to pull back. But often when you get a top, looks like this, you're going to pull back. Find some other examples of that. This isn't very similar, but different. But just typically, whenever you're gapping up like this with a very bearish candle, price is opening up at the open here, 12.845. The bulls are trying to drive it up, and then the bears just take over and drive it down. The momentum is to the downside. We're overextended. To me, I see the euro pulling back next day. Okay, pound USD. When I looked at this on the 27th, I was bullish. I talked about this key support around 1.2900, and you can just see it bounced off of that price. We need to watch 3,300 for resistance. Price came up and hit 32.84, pulled back a little bit. So let's see if it can bust through that resistance, and it might take a few days or even a week to potentially test this high. But we have resistance at 1.3500 as well. Let's take a look at the pound futures. Yeah, the pound futures, this does definitely, it definitely has an appearance that this could pull back. Whenever you get these gaps, it's going to want to pull back. So you can just see here, we're gapping up, pulls back, then we become gappy on the downside, we become overextended on the downside. It needs to get back to the moving average. And you can just see that here with this gap. We need to pull back to the moving average. Then we become overextended on the downside. We need to pull back up to the moving average. So here we are. We do have this gap Let's see if this gap gets filled. Resistance at 33. Where is it here? 3,300. Yeah, so far, the way it's looking, a lot of these futures look like, and the Forex pairs look like they want to pull back. USD CAD. Now, USD CAD is obviously very, very, very bearish lately. I'm anticipating a rebound next day on the USD CAD. Whenever you have just such a massive straight down movement like this, especially a big range like this, I'm expecting a pullback or a rebound, I should say. Let's take a look at the Canadian dollar. You look at the Canadian dollar and you can just see here the high 77.23. Big gap up today. I'm anticipating this coming back and the USD CAD having a bit of a rebound. Okay, I skipped New Zealand USD, so let's take a look at that. Now, New Zealand US dollar is going to, typically it's going to trade, it's going to correlate with the Australian US dollar. And I drew in this key support level of 66.50 last time. I looked at this on the 27th. Yeah, to me it looked like we could pull back, but as you can see, price kept on going. I'm leaning more bearish on the euro, the Australian, and now the New Zealand. But let's take a look at the New Zealand futures. Yeah, so the New Zealand futures, all the futures are looking more definitive bearish. Just this bearish candle, gap up. 9 out of 10 times you're gonna drop when you have these type of candles, and we have those on the Australian, the New Zealand, and the Euro USD. So I'm anticipating that dropping. And just look at the way the weekly is right here. We have this big gap from the moving average. We've just been going straight up. I'm anticipating this coming back the next day. Okay, lastly, the USD Yen. Okay, so USD Yen, I had this little trend line that got taken out today. I talked about the resistance the last time, just the fact that price was hitting lower prices, lower levels of resistance. We have some resistance around 109.74, and then we had some resistance at 109.71, and then we hit some resistance at 109.69. Sorry, 109.68. And then on the 27th, we really dropped. So I was anticipating this was going to drop. It did drop. And now looks like we're holding some support, though. You can see there was some support at the low 108.46 before. That 108.46 price was hit on the 11th and the 12th. And then today the low is 108.47. So yeah, this could definitely have a bit of a rebound next day. Let's take a look at the yen futures. Yeah, the yen futures is just gapping up like this. I think this could come back, which is going to put the USD yen with a little bit of a rebound. Yeah, this to me looks like this wants to come back and maybe fill this gap in here. It is overextended as well. So that is the breakdown for the major Forex pairs. Again, to me it looks like the Australian, the Euro, the New Zealand are going to pull back next day. USD CAD looks like it's going to have a rebound. USD Yen looks like it's going to have a bit of a rebound as well. Pound USD, it does look like it's becoming overextended on this move. We do have to watch for resistance at 1.3300. I would put a line through this rangy candle today. Center line at 31.84. Let's see if it can hold that center line and then continue this uptrend, but watch that resistance at 3,300. Okay, that's the breakdown for December 31st. Everybody have a happy new year, and we'll see you in 2020.